march, right, where the Youth League had managed to draw in numbers and numbers of young people. But this one is quite, it's not the best of numbers, but people have come out to hear what their party Secretary General has to say.
Also, just looking at the political dynamic within the city of Tshwane, so just to give us some clarity on this, because there is, of course, an ANC coalition that's governing the city of Tshwane. So who is this march against, or, what is supposed to be the rationale here?
So basically, the rationale, according to the ANC Secretary General, or Regional Secretary rather, George Malachi, he says that while there is a new administration that is here, they still want to show their commitment to the people of Tshwane and saying that they will better their lives. And what they equally want to do is hold this new administration accountable to the people of Tshwane. So they are going to give them 100 days to address some of the challenges and some of these problems that they are bringing to the city of Tshwane. Give them 100 days and hope that they resolve some of this. And what Malachi actually also raises the issue of unemployment amongst the youth. He is demanding that the city of Tshwane make provision for at least 20,000 people here in the city to be hired under the EPWP program. And he says that although this program is nothing permanent, but he does believe it will make some sort of difference in the lives of ordinary South Africans instead of them waiting for the 350 grants that is from government. So, I mean, I think it's an accountability march more than anything to say these are some of the things that we are expecting you as the city of Tshwane to address within 100 days.
So, is there any indication of who will be receiving this memorandum? Where will that march end? And do we know at what time, Sibahle?
So, we understand that somebody from the city will definitely receive this memorandum. And I mean, as soon as everybody has done saying their speeches, the march should be done maybe by 2-ish, because we are outside the city of Tshwane and various structures of the ANC within the city of Tshwane are addressing the crowd. So the march, I believe, will be ending soon, even before 3 p.m.
And I'm asking that, of course, in the interest of traffic disruption in the city.
Yes.
And I'm not sure how much of that you've picked up on, just to give the listeners a sense if they are in and around that area.
So currently, Sakina, the march is on Madiba Street, in between the High Court and Tshwane House. So that area of Tshwane is currently disrupted. So maybe motorists can find other alternatives form of traveling back home or in the city.
Sibahle Mota, thanks so much for the update. Our reporter following that ANC march, the ANC Secretary General leading that march, and this is in the city of Tshwane. As Sibahle says, more about accountability, partying saying that they want to highlight the ANC's commitment to addressing the concerns of the community of Tshwane.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
What up, family? It's your boy Ken Key, leader of the new school, leader of the kids, and we are out here Back to the City 2024. Catch my performance on SABC 1 Mzansi Bo Show.
For all the hip-hop heads, check out the Back to the City special, Saturday 9 November at 8 p.m. only on SABC 1.
We're delving deeper into the world of mining and engineering. From the Coalface with Martin Creamer.
Well, it's that time again on a Friday when Update at Noon presents another update from the Coalface with Martin Creamer, publishing editor of Engineering News and Mining Weekly. Martin, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Sakina.
Martin, investment demand for platinum is rising sharply in China, which is, of course, a big plus for South Africa.
Yeah, well, South Africa hosts the most platinum group metals in the world, and China is awakening to the fact that this is used across so many industrial applications, so many even jewelry applications, and it's going into hydrogen, and they can see before their eyes that this is going to be needed in China, that they are now sweeping into the metal itself. They are investing in the metal. You can see that by the end of the year, they'll have probably acquired about 250,000 ounces of platinum, and they'd launched themselves just recently a new platinum bar. It's a 1 kilogram platinum bar. So people will invest that. They will have the physical metal. And if ever there is a need, of course, they can then dispense with that and get a good return on the investment. This is all part of work that South Africans have been doing for a long time now through the World Platinum Investment Council. They have the Shanghai Platinum Week, and at the last Platinum Week, a lot of new ideas came up, including having a futures exchange there, which has now been developed. So it'll be great for South Africa if they can really get this price of platinum up, because we see that Anglo-American is going to detach Anglo-American Platinum, which will be listed again separately as it is now, but on its own on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. And at that time, to get investors here to come in, we'll need to have a higher platinum group metals price basket. And this will help in China the way they are recognizing that this is a very important metal for the future of energy in the world, and that's clean energy we're talking about.
Martin, a big solar power plant in Gauteng's East Rand has received a formal grid connection certificate from Eskom.
Yeah, this is very important. You have gold being recovered from dumps, and on the East Rand, on Gauteng's East Rand, you have a long-established plant, the Ergo plant. It draws the mine dump sand from as far afield as Soccer City, so there are 50 kilometers of pipe, and so it needs stable electricity. And they flew journalists over the plant this week, and you could see this enormous new solar power expanse, plus a lot of batteries. There are about 133,000 solar panels there, and there are about 43 big batteries, and they've now got, official certification from Eskom that they can link this to transmission lines that they can actually wheel as well. So although at the moment they're using all the power themselves, and in using this clean power, they have reduced their carbon dioxide emissions by 52%. They are still keen on doing more because a third of their cost comes from electricity, and this has lowered the cost of their electricity, and it also enables them now to get into the transmission grid officially, because they're also recovering gold from dumps on the far West Rand. So they are on the far East Rand. This was established about 1978 by Anglo, and then taken over by DRD Gold, which is listed on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. They are now also recovering gold on the far West Rand. So they'll be doing a lot more looking at more clean power, and it's likely to be solar power, they said this week.
And finally, Martin, South Africans are being behind the launch of a major new critical mineral mine in Madagascar.
Yes, a lot of these South Africans were looking to do this in South Africa, but we've been slow here on the exploration front. Our exploration cadastre isn't ready, and we don't know when that will actually be announced. So 2 years ago, the former CFO, which is the Chief Financial Officer, one of the former CFOs of Sasol, and also a former financial director of Eskom, they went to look at where they could get graphite, because graphite is going to be needed by the batteries of electric vehicles. And they went off to Madagascar, and we see now they've actually succeeded in shipping out their first graphite to Germany and North America, and they're looking to develop a major mine there. And because, of course, with their South African background, they're also talking about beneficiating, and this means adding value, and that wasn't a discussion which you often had with mining, but mines are now wanting to get deeper into the supply zone. And these South Africans are doing what they could have done here, but we weren't ready for it. And hopefully soon we'll get our exploration going so we can get critical metals doing magic for us as well.
Martin, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much. And of course, Martin Creamer will be back with another edition of At the Coalface, same time next Friday. It's exactly 1 o'clock. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and to the production team for putting it together, making sure it went out loud and clear. Have yourself a fabulous weekend. We'll be back on Monday. Here's Ondela Mbana with your latest news.
Thank you, Sakina. Top stories at 1:05 dying in a car accident in the Western Cape, and SADC calls for emergency meeting over Mars chaos. For SAFM News, I am Ondela Mbana, and a very good day. 5 people have been killed in a crash on the N1 at Dorrance in Worcester in the Western Cape. Provincial Transport Department spokesperson Munira Ali says 22 others were injured in the collision involving 3 vehicles.
We confirm an incident just after 12 this morning on the N1 at Dorrance, Worcester, where a truck, bus and minibus were involved in a collision. 5 fatalities are confirmed and 22 people sustained injuries. Provincial Traffic, SAPS, Fire and Rescue and EMS personnel promptly attended to the scene. The incident is currently under investigation. The road has been fully reopened to traffic.
SADC has called for an extraordinary summit on Saturday next week following escalating violence in Mozambique. More security officers have been deployed to the Lebombo border post between South Africa and Mozambique, where operations remain suspended. They are tasked with monitoring the situation following the violence in Mozambique, where opposition parties have rejected the results of last month's elections. Mpumalanga Community Safety and Security MEC Jackie Majie says the additional security officers will ensure the safety of trucks stuck along the N4 toll road heading to the border.
We have already deployed our multidisciplinary task team here at the borderline and along the N4 road. So this 20-hour deployment that we have carried out already. So I can assure the truck drivers and all our road users on the N4 line from Komati Port coming to the Bombo border post that their safety is guaranteed.
Botswana's newly elected president, Advocate Duma Boko, says his country has again demonstrated that its democracy is stable. He says there's been a smooth transition of power in Botswana after his party, the Umbrella for Democratic Change, defeated the governing Botswana Democratic Party. Boko was speaking during his swearing-in ceremony in the capital, Gaborone. Earlier, he told the BBC that he wanted Zimbabweans in his country to be given temporary work and residence permits.
What we need to do is to formalize, have a proper arrangement that recognizes that people from Zimbabwe are already here, some may want to come. How do we manage this? In a very simple but profound way. We can give, and we should give, temporary work and residence permits.
The funeral of chieftainess of the Mqhekezweni Great Place Nogcinile Mthikgakga is underway in Mqhekezweni village outside Mthatha in the Eastern Cape. The 71-year-old chieftainess was gunned down at a royal home last month, allegedly by 2 balaclava-clad gunmen. A number of politicians are the mourners. Defense Deputy Minister Bandolo Misa, who is among them, says the late chieftainess wanted development in her area.
Mama Nogcinile was a hard worker. She was always here serving the community of this area. She also looked after these properties. As you can see, they are at least well maintained. She was a progressive woman who was always looking for development of this area. We may have to consider that the police service or the policemen must establish a satellite police station here where you will always have police who are patrolling.
ANC Tshwane Regional Secretary George Majila says the party's demands include the immediate employment of 20,000 people under the expanded public works program. He was speaking ahead of a march to Tshwane House in Pretoria. ANC Secretary General Fikile Mbalula will participate in the Walking with the People Walk at Community March. The march is set to highlight the ANC's commitment to addressing community concerns such as lack of delivery of basic services. Majila says although the EPWP is not sustainable, it must be used to address some of the people's problems.
Our people are going hungry now. One of the most critical issues that we are demanding in the immediate is that 20,000 people must be employed EPWP. We can't have our own people queuing for 350 when the national government is supporting local government to ensure that at least in the meantime we have projects that are able to alleviate poverty as we are waiting.
Recapping the top story, 5 people have been killed in a crash on the N1 at the Dorens in Worcester in the Western Cape. I am Ondalambana for SAFM News. Headlines at 1:30.
Stay tuned to SAFM coming up.
RB Leipzig believe every football moment counts and they want nothing but a win. Meanwhile, Borussia Mönchengladbach target 3 points as they embark on a journey to escape from the bottom half. This is the Bundesliga. Football as it's meant to be. Catch the nail-biting encounter between RB Leipzig and Borussia Mönchengladbach on Saturday 9 November at 7:30 p.m. Live everywhere for everyone. Always on SABC Plus. Also available on sabcsport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Our role must be to seek to build a better world.
SAFM invites you to our annual public lecture delivered by former Minister Dr. Naledi Pandor. The theme for the lecture is 30 Years of South African Freedom, reimagining South Africa's democracy, achievements, challenges, and the road ahead in protecting our democratic gains. The lecture will take place on the 21st of November 2024 at the Birchwood Hotel and Conference Center. Secure your seat by emailing us at info@safm.co.za.
Today, I'm part of seeking to build a better South Africa.
SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
Could have been me, could have been you. Who am I to say? After all the things we've done, my words are void, they go straight through, like ghostly letters, floating in a clear blue sky. Living in a fantasy. 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 Living in a fantasy.
It is Fat Freddy's drop coming through. Wheels is the name of this particular song, and of course, this is how we amplify the levels on a Friday afternoon as we kick off the show and get you geared up and ready for the weekend ahead. Now, with every Friday, we tend to take a more creative and artistic skew to the show. We've indulged enough serious conversation during the course of the week, and of course, this Friday is no different. We've got lots on our agenda today. By the way, did I say hello? I don't think I did. I hope that you are having a great morning thus far, ready to unwind and get into the weekend. And on today's agenda, in fact, we are catching up with some extraordinary South Africans. So I'll take it backwards. Later on in the hour, we're going to be catching up with multi-award-winning TV director and producer Debuho Malope is going to be joining us after that whirlwind run at the most recent television awards. And then we're going to be talking stages, pages, screens, and more. And we're going to be looking at a new artist residency, right? We'll tell you more about that closer on to the time. But for now, though, we're kicking off the show on a very high note because we're joined in studio by living royalty, highly celebrated, internationally acclaimed, perhaps one of the greatest exports that have come out of South Africa. He needs absolutely no introduction whatsoever, but for the purposes of us knowing exactly who we are talking to, Dr. John Gani joins me in studio today. Actor, playwright, director, man of many talents, a living legend. How are you doing today, Bob John?
I am very fine and happy to be here.
Thank you so much for the time. Thank you for coming out on a Friday afternoon. We appreciate it. You look, every time you walk into a studio, this is my second encounter with Bob John. He happened to come to my previous show at my previous station like many years ago. And when you walk into a room, it's like you can feel the stature. Some people walk into the room and sort of the vibrations change, right? And some people walk into the room and you almost want to sit up straight and fix yourself and be proper. And you're definitely that kind of person. Like your aura commands, it commands respect, it commands authority, it commands attention. A beautiful thing.
There is a Yoruba saying, I walk and behind me are 3,000 ancestors.
Yes.
So we come in the majority, even if I'm alone.
Yes. There we go. I love Maya Angelou. I don't know if she borrowed that from the Yoruba saying, because she has a similar,
yes.
I come as 10,000 strong.
Yes.
And I love that. Have you ever you've always been conscious of sort of that representation of it's more than just John Gani, but it's John Gani and the hopes and dreams of thousands of others anytime you walk into a space?
Right from the beginning, as little children, my father was like an aristocrat who never came into the 21st century. He always talked family. And whenever you did something or you want something, he always gave you this picture of the family needs are much above your needs. Even if you wanted Tata school in Bafunanji 7.50 cents, I said, what's going to happen to the food for the dogs? What's going to happen to the food for your brother? I'm saying, I just want this 7.50 for me. So you grow up in that context of understanding that you're part of the collective. And of course, the early days in Port Elizabeth, my town, Gqeberha, we attended 2 schools. In the morning, we'll go the normal Bantu education. In the afternoon, we'll be with Commissar Priti, who will tell us about the history of the struggle. So we always spoke about the people, the community. So when then you represent yourself, you're conscious of the fact that you're not speaking only for John Gani. Remember somebody asked me, I was in London, describe your home. What kind of houses black people live in? I got a bit of a tricky question, because if I describe my father's house, it's got 4 bedrooms. It's got a yard, it's got a car outside. I had to describe my neighbor's house, the 4-roomed house. where there are 7 of them, and there's only 1 bedroom for mom and dad, and the rest of the kids are in the bedroom, some even on the floor in what's called the dining room. So you have to be conscious in that way that you may be a little fortunate or less, but you speak for the community.
Yeah. And I love that. I love that consciousness, because I think, and I don't know, maybe my perception is incorrect, but I feel like we live in a world now that's very much individual centric, and we're moving less and less from that understanding of the broadness of humanity and the collective.
That's the byproduct of democracy. Remember pre-94? We always spoke about the people, the community. We weren't our nation, There was no Zulus and me and you and Xhosas and Tsongas and Pedis. It was the community, the struggle. 1994, we had to go back to me, the individual. What's in it for me? And it got to a point where that the me was much bigger, a much bigger focus than even the people who live in the village with you. I call that the byproduct of our democracy, because people speak for themselves now. People think about where they're going, what their needs are, because it seemed we thought that the government will take care of the village, the government will take care of the community, the government will take care of the elderly. So that's we kick our moms as early as possible to a home where they be looked after by other people. We have children that are challenged in any form. We thought that we could take them to a special place. But before that, it was the community will come together. I mean, not in the colloquial way that you say it takes a community to raise a child. Of course it takes a village to raise a child, but the point we're talking about now is the community aware of the responsibility they have for each other.
That is the question that we're going to leave hanging as we get into the break. 086 000 2032. That's our studio line. 0614104107. That's our WhatsApp line. If you'd like to send through a WhatsApp voice note for Dr. John Gani, he joins us in studio today, catching up with the living legend, the actor, the playwright, the director, a man of many talents with really a list of credits longer than my arm. If you want to find out all the incredible projects that he's been a part of, both on stage as well as on screen, a quick Google search, but we'll give you the highlights here and there. Let's take a quick pause and then we'll come right back.
Ever tried to paint a wall with only your brush? Or hung a picture on just a nail and a prayer? Hey. The contestants on My Design Rules will be the first to tell you good design starts with the right tools. Tune in to My Design Rules every Sunday at 7 p.m. on SABC3 and stand a chance to win a weekend away in the winning apartment. From beginner projects to expert builds, Buco has the tools and materials you need to get the job done. Ready to kickstart your next DIY project? Begin with Buco.
Buco. 16 teams of Mzansi Africa's Elite League are back to the battlefield. Ngamandla Masha. They all believe ukuthi kuzoba right, kube bright, as they navigate the path to the final. This is the second edition of the Carlin Knockout Cup. Fagukesi. Catch the unmatched passion and drama of Ipola Mzansi. The Carlin Knockout Cup, live on SABC1 and SABC radio stations. Also available everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Arts, culture, and robust conversations with Bridget Masinga.
I'm offlining kikiing with Dr. John Gani. Do you know what kikiing is? I got a test, Galo, with the intergenerational slang. If you keep up when the young kids go, I
have 7 children and 10 grandchildren.
Okay.
I even know Taylor Swift.
That is good.
I know Cardi B.
Yes.
I know Queen B. I know, what is this wonderful English girl?
Which one? Adele.
Adele. I even know Adele. Because these kids have taken over my house. It is my house. And they live in my house. And my granddaughter asked, can my friend visit our house? My house today?
Yes.
I said, rewind. Can your friend visit your home? It is my house.
Okay.
But the kids talk about our house, my house. Can my friend visit my house tomorrow? I said, oh, rewind. It's my house. Can your friend visit your home? Remember, it's always your home. And your home has that temporary residence thing.
No, Mkhulu John, you can't be that person. No, now I wonder, Uguti, I mean, you sound like you a hoot, but also you lay down the law as a granddad.
I told you my father never entered the 21st century. He was an aristocrat. Through him, it was right and wrong. Whether we said, but it's legal. I said, is it right? Is it wrong?
Mm-hmm.
Were you thinking when you were doing this? Were you aware that it could not go right and there'd be consequences? You think, here we go again.
Yes.
Sit down and shut up and listen. The more you give your point of view, the later you're going to leave this room. It's just keep quiet and nod.
Yes.
And Mom would say, don't worry.
Uh-huh.
You know your father.
As moms do from time to time.
As moms do.
You know your father.
You know your father.
Then I gotta wonder, when you began your career as a young actor, because you had a few moments where, because of the kind of work that you were doing, and maybe even the kind of circles that you were affiliated with at the time, you brought a lot of unwanted attention to yourself by the regime of the time. And I wonder, with your dad being, that kind of aristocratic dad, right and wrong, and probably not wanting the negative attention, how were those dynamics in the family now, dealing with a young John Gani who was antagonizing certain spaces?
We already had at that time, when I grew up, my uncle, who's my father's youngest brother, who was so ANC.
Mm.
Kabaka Congolose. They was always talking about the land, the people, our country. And my father wanted to make sure that nonsense doesn't filter down to the others. And we were kind of like so excited to hear about this.
Yeah.
As I said, we attended 2 schools. So we were aware of those dynamics, and you managed them quite early. Mm-hmm. Your conversation was nicely edited, not censored, in front of the parents, because you did not want the parents to have any idea of what you're doing.
Mm.
Should anything wrong happen to you, your parents can't give any evidence. Because actually they don't know what you're doing. In some cases, even the wives of our elders didn't know that the father was a member of some underground movement. So when I joined, finished my matric, I was ready, accepted to do law at the Forte University. Pani Pichana, who is now the commissioner for the Lotto Commission, Tisani, and all of us, George Kolapemba, we were going to study. And my uncle gets arrested. And then my father assumes it's very innocent, this is a mistake, goes to the trial, comes back and says to my mother, he got 7 years. They will send him to Robben Island. And my mom said, how is he? And my father said, funny, I feel good because he agreed that he did those things. So they were not accusing him, falsely or just sending him to jail. He says, funny in a way, I feel better because he said he did those things.
Yes.
So now, within the community, we started working. I couldn't, of course, go to Forte because Dad said, look, you're going to have to work. And then we'd put monies together, you pick it up again. And then there were so many. I joined the township groups of actors, doing what you normally refer to our work as sketches.
Yes.
Oh, Nisa Zenza, these sketches then. That's you talking about my work, my passion, my identity. But then you graduate to that, and then you get into the Serpent Players drama group of the New Brighton, of which Arthur Figert was one of the members.
Mm-hmm.
But the focus was, in some strange way, without any sort of decision, we are going to tell the untold story through our work.
Mm.
We're tired of doing Shakespeare, tired of doing the Greek classics, the Elizabethan, the Victorian. We've done them all. Brecht, we've done Jean-Paul Sartre, we've done Albert Camus, we've done Chekhov, we've done all these plays. But we were afraid to talk about the real issue. That was in 1965. We decided, no. Our story has to, because that was also, remember, the last lap of the Rivonia trial. So the South African apartheid government was so confident that the entire movement has been obliterated completely. Those we don't like are dead. Those we don't like more are in Robben Island. Those we hate more are in exile. So there was a comfort. Even the rand was 8 rand to a The dollar was weaker than the rand.
Oh, wow.
The booming economy. Every white family had a holiday home, apart from the way they live in. And this is where we thought, no, man, this is not right. We can use the art, we can use the stage, we can use our stories to keep that flame burning. And then we decided to do, even if we do a classic like Antigone by Sophocles, we would adapt it and change it into like Speak for Us and tell the story. So, of course, then that attracted the special branch, that attracted the government, and they said to me, and I don't know why, because I would be the one picked up because I was also acting and directing.
Yes.
Right? And I was the youngest in the group. They were all Obud Norman, Obud Malcolm, Obud George, Obud so-and-so, Ossi so-and-so, Nomshen Konyene, and I were the youngest.
Yeah.
And yet they said, no, John will look at it, how we're going to present it. Right? And then we would work on it, and suddenly you get picked up by the security and said, that play you did had nothing to do with South Africa. How come you mentioned the Bantustan? It was the Russian play called Le Juste, where the revolutionaries under the Stalin movement were going to attack the Duke as the means of terrorizing Moscow. But we said, in my interpretation, they were going to terrorize the Bantustan president. So that only one line. That, of course, carried my entire life until 1990. 1990 was the last time I was detained.
Wow.
Right. So it's always been there in my life.
Yeah.
And it's always been like, as my mom would say, can't you find something else to do? I said, I'm trying, Mom. I'm trying, but this is what I want to say now.
So important. Dr. John, let's pause it there for a second, but our lines are open. If you want to have a word with the living legend himself, 06141041007 is our WhatsApp line. Alternatively, you can also give us a call on 086 000 2032 as we go into the headline news.
Here, there, and everywhere. SAFM 105.5 FM in Tabazimbi. SAFM supports a litter-free South Africa. Play your part in keeping our surroundings and environment clean. SAFM, leading the conversation.
News headlines at 1:30 on SAFM. I am Onde Lambana, and a very good day. President Cyril Ramaphosa has extended the employment of 1,100 members of the South African National Defence Force in cooperation with the South African Police to combat and prevent illegal mining activities in the country. 5 people have been killed in a crash on the N1 at the Dorrans and Worcester in the Western Cape, and police in the Netherlands are investigating violent attacks on Israeli citizens after a football match in Amsterdam, including reports that several Israelis are missing. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
Arts, culture, and robust conversations with Bridget Masinga.
We are hanging out in studio today with the living legend himself, Dr. John Gani. We are catching up with him, and obviously he is just enthralling us in some of his memories from yesteryear. By the way, the South African Gallery of Legends just announced the induction of 5 extraordinary icons, I say legends, each trailblazing in the arts and culture sector. And this year's inductees included, of course, my guest today, Dr. John Gani, Dr. Kaifas Simenya, Mom Leta Mbulu, as well as Mom Lillian Dube, as well as Mom Lydia Mokholoshi. That surname gets my tongue in a twist all the time. And they've made remarkable contributions, we know, to South Africa's cultural heritage and left an indelible mark, not only locally, but as well as on global stages. So it's a wonderful thing to see them being inducted into the South African Gallery of Legends at Freedom Park in Pretoria. Space that, weirdly enough, I still have not visited, and I speak so much about it, but I must put it on the to-do before the end of the year. We are just, I'm. What does it mean What does it mean for you, Dr. John, as a living legend, to receive all your flowers, whilst you are still present and still vibrant to appreciate the moments of being adored with love and recognition for your art and for your political contributions and yourself and your family sacrifices through the years that you've made for the country and for the industry?
Say my name again. Say my name again. Dr. John Kani.
Yes.
OISOBE.
OISOBE.
Yes. The OIS is the Order of Ikamanga.
Yes.
In silver, which was bestowed
2015,
upon... Yes,
right? Yes.
By President Thabo Mbeki then. And then the OBE, last year, I was honored by King Charles III for the Officer of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire for his contribution to the arts globally.
Yes.
Now, if South Africa was not a republic, it was like Australia, New Zealand, Canada, it's an equivalent of a knighthood. But it wouldn't get me work, you see, so I would have to stay with John Gunn. No, look, when you do... Thabo Mbeki once said, you live your life, you contribute, you shine the light where you are. You can't live your life conscious of the fact that I am leaving a legacy. A legacy is something that will come on its own through the footsteps you live on the sand and as you walk. But it is so kind of gratifying and sort of a self-thank you when these things happen, when you get honored. I mean, especially there's always like, the prophet is not famous at home. We've dispelled that. I'm famous in South Africa before anyone knows me on the continent or globally. So my roots are here. But therefore, if I get like a Tony Award or an award, Best Actor for this, Best Director for that, it's fine. It's something I have done, and I know that I work hard. I'm in constant pursuit of perfection. That's my life. Nothing is, in my mind, I haven't gone there yet. I've got a couple of miles to go. I can never reach the point that says, yes, now I've done it. Now I am John Gunn. Now I'm famous. I haven't got there yet. There's so much to do. There's seeing a young kid trying to work through a script, misreading it and misacting and misdoing anything. It makes my duty to say, we need to talk. We need to talk.
Yeah.
So the work is going on. But it's incredible to stand there and look at that room last night and see all the MECs and see all the great people that are within the arts and culture, and then your name gets called and you're going to be honored in the gallery of the legends, the heroes of our struggle through their work. You almost say, I wish that old man was alive who asked me and I wanted to say to him, I want to be an actor. He says, like what? And unfortunately, I had no references. There was no one I could say like so-and-so. I said like Sidney Poitier. He says, who's that? I couldn't say like so-and-so.
Yeah.
You know, so he could understand. It sort of gives me great pleasure today when I meet young people who say, I told my mom I want to be a dancer. I want to be a singer. I told my father I want to be a writer, director, a choreographer. I want to be an artist. And when they say like who? And I said, like Tate John Khan. And they say all, they all say, okay, then my parent says, okay, but you got a hell of a mountain to climb.
Yes.
Go with my blessing. Oh. That is the biggest acknowledgement that I have in my life.
Oh, you know, and so you've just taken the wind out of my sail, because my last question to all my guests is, it, depending on the generation that is sitting at that chair on any given Friday, and understanding sort of how entertainment and how artistry has changed, right, in the culture of it. So my last question is always, when did you know you were famous?
I'll tell you. Winston Johnner and I were performing on Broadway. Caesar Banzi in the island, and we were just doing a play, and then we kind of got nominated for the Tony Awards for Best Actor and Best Writer, and this meant nothing. So we go to the theater, we come back, and we go to sleep. We go to the theater, we come back, and one Sunday we go to the Tony Awards, right? And it was Walter Matthau and Ellen Bernstein, and they're reading the Tony. The Tony goes to, she says, "Oh my God, John Kenai, Winston and Schna." And the people around us stood up. Applause. And then my producer says, you guys have won. So the following day, I go to my dressing room. It's not the one I know. It's the one upstairs with a star on the door. There is hors d'oeuvres on the table, and there is a small fridge with little champagne bottles, bottled water and wine, and then there's a dress. I was to dress myself just yesterday. I dressed myself yesterday. There's a dresser and there's a runner who says, "What would you like, sir?" And I'm thinking, I did it. I'm famous. And outside, at the end of the performance, there are about 20, 30 people, autograph hunters. Yeah. Sign here, studio autograph. I didn't even know how to sign John Kani in an autograph way. I did the sign that I do for my account in the bank. That's the whole, the Tony Award says so-and-so has been awarded the Tony Award. Dramatic star. It's written on the award. Wow. Only then can you think of yourself, not call yourself as a star. As a result, I don't need work permits. I don't need visas. This Tony Award has opened the world up to me. I just go there because I bring the center of the production and create employment in that production for all the people in the production.
Oh, I love it. I love it for you. I love it for us. Let's go to WhatsApp quickly before I think we're going to wrap it up with WhatsApp. So, Dr. John, if I can ask you to put on those headphones near you, and then we'll go to WhatsApp. I've got one that I'm going to read, and it's anonymous. They didn't send a name. Good day, Dr. John Gani. I remember your wonderful movie, Soweto Green. Thank you. With gratitude for the many other contributions you have made to South African culture and entertainment. And then let's play some of the other voice notes.
John Gani, siyakubulela thina siyakuphakamisela siyakuhlonipha sikuhlonipha khona apha ekhaya ngomsebenzi omkhulu owenzileyo ongawenzelanga just nje wena as a person but owenzele ilizwe lakho icontinent nehlabathi jikelele sokwethulela unqwazi siyazi ukuthi baninzi kakhulu obabonise indlela iline baninzi kakhulu kwihlabathi jikelele ube imbewu etesa kodwa ngendlela befanelekileyo.
Good afternoon, how's Bridget, and good afternoon to Dr. John Kani. Oh, it's so beautiful to hear his voice. Yo, how's Bridget? I'm laughing when he says it's my house. I'm going to also say it to my own kids. They like this thing of Mikasa Sukasa, our house, my house. Not here, it's my house. Not your house, it's your home. Beautiful to hear his voice, man. It's beautiful.
Clearly inspiring people for the better and obviously for the lighter. Dr. John, as we finish our conversation today, I mean, it's always a pleasure sitting at the feet of living legends of grandpas and grandmas because of the wisdom that you carry with you. So I never take these moments lightly, and I always appreciate when we extend an invitation as well to someone like yourself, and it gets honored. It just says a lot about the legacy that you are building, and also reaching back to younger generations and giving them endorsement by way of your presence. So we don't take it lightly at all. If you could describe the journey that has been for you in a single word.
My Lord. That's not the word.
That's two.
It's one word is not easy. It's just passion, and love for humanity.
Passion and love for humanity.
I see your pain, and it bothers me. I see, as my mom would say, can you just go to the store and come back without getting involved in any other rubbish of the township? I said, I see. And I was given this gift of seeing and really seeing. You know, when you go to the Oscars, you go to the Hall of Fames, you go to the Rock in Memphis where Elvis, everything, it is the ultimate honor. And last night at Freedom Park, to be inducted, it's not to be presented, not to be what you've achieved, to be inducted at Freedom Park on the gallery of the legends, the heroes that made an impact in the democracy and the future of our people and our, especially the next generation, is one of the biggest things that ever happened to me. It's like an affirmation that sort of propels me that there's still another 20 years on stage. I'll be another 92 then, because I'm 81 now. I could be 102 because my grandmother died at 106. So there's longevity in my family. So my last performance must be when I'm 100 years old.
I'll hold you to it.
They're just going to wheel me on the stage and say, find out. And I stay there and get paid them more than anybody in the cast.
Yes.
They just, Wilman says, my last says, who killed him? Find out. And I'm sitting there for 1 hour, 30 minutes until you come back and says, we found who did it. And I get paid.
We laugh, but one day we're going to rewind back on this moment and realize that he was working on this play when he said it in 2024. And Dr. Chonkani, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for making the time. And once again, congratulations with being inducted into the South African Gallery of Legends.
You are listening to The Full Circle.
When did you know that Maxhosa was famous?
It was 2016. I was taking a last international trip before I moving back to Johannesburg. So I was on my way to Japan, Tokyo. As I walked back to the train to catch a flight to Japan, like in the AM, I walked across a young Chinese boy that was wearing a Maxhosa counterfeit.
Yes.
I froze and I opened my mouth and nothing came out of my mouth.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga.
Svali Weekend on a high note with Final Analysis on Sunday night. Tune in to Final Analysis every Sunday night and stand a chance to win a hamper worth 10,000 Rand, courtesy of Theodora and SABC Sport. Final Analysis, the premium wrap-up show, giving you match highlights, final scores, post-game reactions, expert analysis, and sport news weekend roundup of the local and international arena. Catch Final Analysis every Sunday at 8 p.m. on SABC Sport on TTT Channel 4 and 10 p.m. on SABC 3. Also available everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Hashtag We've Got It All. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Festive season is around the corner. Celarity hooray! Unlike most, Paul, I don't sweat going home because I have a Nedbank Just Invest account. So I'll be up this festive season. No borrowing, guys. Even you, Mr. Voiceman.
Must be nice to be you, Mabel. Mara, you can also be like Mabel and earn up to 8.5% interest. Open yours via the Money app in under 2 minutes. See money differently. Nedbank. We're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. Promo rates apply. Visit nedbank.co.za for more info. SAFM commemorates Disability Rights Awareness Month under the theme Celebrating 30 Years of Democracy, Creating a Disability-Inclusive Society for a Better Quality of Life and the Protection of the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. SAFM supports and works tirelessly towards equity and equality for those living with disabilities. Empowerment is key. Let us break the barriers and improve the quality of life for those living with disabilities. Our tireless efforts towards a better life for those living with disabilities can only be impactful when we do so together. We do not tolerate any kind of discrimination. Disability Awareness Month 2024. Only on SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. Disability Rights Awareness Month on SAFM.
Hi, I'm Khomotso KG Mweketi, and I believe in music's ability to connect, to heal, to remind, and to bring joy. And each week on my Saturday and Sunday show Seasons right here on SAFM, I endeavor to do just that. So join the movement of Seasons every Saturday and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's addictive. You might invite a friend. Seasons, only on SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide with me, KG Mweketi.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide. Leading the conversation. Stages, pages, screens, and more. On the Full Circle.
All right, getting into our next conversation. He really is, Dr. John Kani really is a rock star. So we were busy during the ad break. I think one of the first guests that's come into studio, one of few that's come into studio that's had everybody clamoring for pictures. Everyone coming from all over trying to get their little snap of history with the living legends. So right now, though, we're getting into stages, pages, screens, and more. And we're catching up with visual artist Minenkulu Ngoyi. And Minenkulu has graduated from the Artist Proof Studios back in 2011 and now practices printmaking at DGI Studio at Arts on Main in Maboneng. And Minenkulu is part of an interesting Artist in Residency program, and we'll find out more about it. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm good, and you, Bridget?
I'm great, thank you. Cannot complain. I think maybe firstly, let's just get some context as to Minenkulu and your journey in the artistic world thus far. I mean, Artist Proof Studio is one of those studios. If you ever wanted to know if an artist is bankable, especially one who focuses on printmaking, it's always nice when you see that they're a graduate of an Artist Proof Studio.
Yes, true. Very, very nice. Let me first greet everybody. Hi to all your listeners. Also, I'm a bit intimidated because it was Tate John Kani just now, and then I got my sick. Oh my God.
Don't be intimidated. Everybody is great and fabulous in their own right.
It's been the journey's been very interesting. So I went to Artist Proof Studio from 2009 and graduated in 11. And I was fortunate enough. Fortunate or lucky enough to be invited again actually this year to do a program with second years. I was a seasonal lecturer there for about three and a half months. I was doing a program with independent publishing, basically teaching them how to make zines and all of that. So yeah, Artist Proof has been a very important part of my journey, and and I've also ended up opening my own studio with partners a couple of years ago, and that's why I'm with DGI as well, because it's a long story. I lectured them at Wits as also a seasonal lecturer, and then we ended up being friends, and work together now.
And here we are right now. Let's get into this Artist in Residency program. Is it am I pronouncing it correct? Akoje?
Akoje Gallery.
Yes.
It's actually a residency that I applied for a couple of months ago, and I was, to be honest, as an artist, you apply to these things or these call-outs, and you don't, because you apply for so many, you don't really check on it. You just carry on with your life. So fortunately, I got accepted. So this residency is in Scotland, at a place called. I hope I'm saying it right. It's in the capital city in Edinburgh.
Okay.
Am I saying it right? Edinburgh. Edinburgh, yes.
Okay.
It's in this place called. It's actually this castle-looking mansion called the Dumfries House.
All right.
So this residency is run by two males, one from actually different, different professions. One is Mario, and the other one is Khalil. Mario's a big rugby player. I think he plays for London, the national team London. And Khalil is an art collector, curator, basically an African art collector and curator. And that's how we started basically talking after I got accepted. And that's all I know. And another thing that I know is that I'm going to go there in the cold, basically.
Well, I mean, is that a good thing then that, you pretty much know very little about the environment that you are walking into? Does that sort of help in the sense of, because a lot of work gets produced when an artist is in residency, and I wonder if going with a blank slate, unencumbered by any expectation, is somehow freeing for an artist, because then you just get there and you let the experience dictate what the work becomes.
Yeah, true. And work in the cold. Yeah, I'll try. But I've got a friend down that side. I've actually been talking, and he did say how he's gonna show me the ins and outs and what clothes I need to bring and raincoats and all these things that will keep me warm. But now I'll survive. I mean, South Africans can survive almost everywhere.
Absolutely. Now let's talk a bit about the work that you do, because if anybody sort of goes through your Instagram profile, the kind of stories that you tell me about those. There's a sort of a lot of, I think, narration or centering a black spiritual lived experience, or maybe that's just how I'm interpreting some of the images that I'm seeing.
No, you're actually absolutely right. And also your opinion also, I mean, I'm the artist, so we end up hearing what people see, because when we produce at the studio, we don't really know what the response is. Basically, my work is about Amanazareta. Well, I have different themes, but the main theme lately I've been working, I think the past 3 years, if not more, is Amanazareta Makola from the Shembe Church. So here as an artist, I'm becoming the native narrator, the native narrator of basically the religion and how colonialism has played such a big role in, I guess, our religions, especially like Amanazareta, people from the ZCC and other churches. A lot of them take a lot of influence from European, I guess, I was going to say European culture, but more of colonialism, from how they dress and how they preach or praise and the hymns, but now done in our native language, done in isiZulu, which I think is very fascinating. And so here I'm basically telling the story, and also kind of showing the world, and I guess even Africa, Africa like at large, that what we basically have in the South,
Yeah.
And another interesting part that I need to mention is that Amanazareta also have a part where Maobiza Ikotsi, people that dress like Scottish people, which I think is very interesting that I'm going to this residency, because now I'll see where it kind of originates, and when they do Umkiti, these are celebrations during, depending on the ceremony and all of that, they'll also wear these kilts and boots, and it's really amazing when you're there. It's like,
Why for you the sort of the personal focus, the personal fixation on Nazarete? Is it a personal thing, or?
Yes, I was about to say, sorry to cut you there. I'm gonna be honest, it is, it's part of my lineage, so I am related to Amanazaret or Labanbagashembe somehow, and that I've always grown up with it, I've always known it, but I've never really explored it much. I'll do other works, and as I don't know if I've mentioned that I'm a social political artist, so a lot of my work had nothing to do with them, but it's stories that I know of, and I can do research much not easier, but much more like research and do work that comes from what's the word, a close place, or like a place, I'm looking for the right word, I guess a reference that is personal, something that I can not necessarily, where I can be honest and just be myself, because I know of Amanazareta, excuse me, and I know of the culture and the religion itself, so and I'm also, when I work, I do it confidently, because who else better to do it than anyone, to tell the stories than anyone except myself, or people that are quite close to the family, and basically family.
And interestingly, just from the outside looking in, not really having charted the history of the various South African religious groups, but having grown up in Durban and knowing sort of the significance and the very frontal impact of Abantu Bagashembe. If you grew up in Durban, for instance, you know there in the Durban CBD where they hold church. In that big central park, for view of everybody. But it almost seems like even though knowing the frontal representation, I know very little about Abantu Bagashembe. And so it's interesting that there now seems to be a move, whether it's through your work and also just seeing productions in television coming out of Durban that are now telling various interpretations of the Nazareta story and bringing that to the fore, whether it's a reinterpretation or a reimagination, but it's being archived is what I'm trying to say. It's being archived, and we speak a lot about the lack of archiving of our religious practices, our African stories, etc., etc.
No, spot on. And I'm also excited to see other artists actually talking about it, the religion itself, and talking about other stories, and also just like more than anything, it just has to be told and told truthfully, and there's obviously politics around everything in life, but I think also the reason why people haven't been talking about it is because they were scared, because of the politics, because of the families and all of that, But yeah, eventually they'll need to be told, and here we are.
Absolutely.
Trying to do our best.
Well, listen, it's been a pleasure getting to know you. We appreciate spending the time with you this Friday. And even though you said coming after Tate John Kani kind of put you in a different vibration, but everybody is a Tate John Kani or Minenkulu Ngoi in their own right. So we appreciate the time. And to us, you are just as important as any living legend. Have fun out at your residency, and we can't wait to see the kind of work that comes out of that particular program. That was visual artist Minenkulu Ngoi. You can see his work is on Instagram if you want to have a good look at the kind of work that he produces. It's pretty easy to find if you just Google his name. It's approaching 2 o'clock, and of course Ondela is standing by with the 2 o'clock news.
If you're active on social media and love SAFM, we hope you'll take a moment to like or follow our SAFM page on Facebook and Twitter. These are the best places to find all the guest information, conversations, and stories you love from your favorite presenters, along with regular updates from SABC News. And don't forget, you can send your questions to feedback@safm.co.za. SAFM, leading the conversation.
Thank you, Bridget. Top stories at 2. Ramaphosa extends SANDF employment and 5 die in a car accident in the Western Cape. For SAFM News, I am Ondelambana, and a very good day. President Cyril Ramaphosa has extended the employment of 1,100 members of the South African National Defence Force in cooperation with the South African Police to combat and prevent illegal mining activities in the country. The SANDF and SAPS members will focus on Gauteng, Mpumalanga, Limpopo, Northwest, Free State and the Northern Cape under Operation Prosper. The operation will last from the beginning of November to the end of March next year. This will cost the state 140.4 million rand. This is revealed in a letter sent by Ramaphosa to National Assembly Speaker Thoko Didiza. 5 people have been killed in a crash on the N1 at the Durans and Worcester in the Western Cape. Provincial Transport Department spokesperson Munira Ali says 22 others were injured in the collision involving 3 vehicles.
We confirm an incident just after 12 this morning on the N1 at the Durans Worcester, where a truck, bus and minibus were involved in a collision. 5 fatalities are confirmed and 22 people sustained injuries. Provincial traffic, SAPS, fire and rescue and EMS personnel promptly attended to the scene. The incident is currently under investigation. The road has been fully reopened to traffic.
Police in the Free State says some tuck shop operators have fled with their stock while others have abandoned their shops in Bloemfontein. Earlier, 27 people were arrested for public violence in Mangaung following the looting of foreign-owned tuck shops overnight. Residents went on the rampage after 47 learners from the Iobe Primary School and one from another school were rushed to hospital for suspected food poisoning. All the learners except one have been discharged from hospital. Meanwhile, Mangaung Metro Mayor Gregory Ndatis is expected to visit the Iobe Primary School in Rocklands today. Judgment in the urgent application of 2 accused in the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial will be heard on Tuesday next week in the High Court in Pretoria. Ntobisi Mncube and Fisokuhle Ntuli made in the application in which they requested that they should not be kept in solitary confinement at the Hoshimbamburu prison CMAX section. Neria Hlakutsa reports.
Ntobisi Mncube says the current conditions at CMAX section of the prison are unbearable and that he has been held in isolation beyond the stipulated duration of at least 18 months. He says he's been there for 4 years now and he is denied human interaction and has suffered a mental breakdown. Ntuli's application was not entertained as the judge considered it not to be urgent as he has been at CMAX for less than 18 months. Lawyer for the Correctional Services Ministry, the respondent in the case, denied Mncube is being incarcerated unlawfully and added that he remains a high-risk prisoner.
Enterprising youth and emerging businesses in Botswana's national capital, Gaborone, say they hope the new administration under newly elected President Duma Boko will improve economic conditions in the country to create a better and more lucrative environment for local businesses. This is as scores of Botswana made their way to the National Stadium in Gaborone for the inauguration of the 6th President of Botswana. The entrepreneurs had this to say.
Our expectations as emerging businesses are that the government will do better for us as small businesses and also help us with funding and stalls where we can sell. I've been working as a contractor for years and I'm still struggling. I am hopeful that today things will get better for us as contractors because we struggle with everything.
Police in the Netherlands are investigating violent attacks on Israeli citizens after a football match in Amsterdam, including reports that several Israelis are missing. 5 people were taken to hospital after the Europa League match between Maccabi Tel Aviv and Ajax Amsterdam. Dutch police have arrested more than 60 people following the violence in the city centre. The BBC's Anna Holligan reports.
Israeli nationals have been advised to stay in their hotel rooms until they can be sure it is safe to leave. Dutch police say several reports about last night's events in Amsterdam are circulating on social media. The police have launched a major investigation into multiple violent incidents, and the police are aware of reports regarding a possible hostage situation and missing persons. However, they say they currently have no confirmation that this actually took place. This aspect is also under investigation.
Recapping the top story, President Cyril Ramaphosa has extended the employment of 1,100 members of the South African National Defence Force in cooperation with the South African Police to combat and prevent illegal mining activities in the country. I am Ondelambana for SAFM News headlines at 2:30.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide.
My love, I've been waiting on him long enough. Got my hand out to him, lead me to the place where no one can erase that we were there. Let me in, my love, set me loose and I'll go over and above. I can prove it, baby, grown enough to know now what you really want and why and how. So lead me, a woman for delighting, not debating. No fuss, frustrate, just titillating. So give me to my love. He got one my mind always remind me of. Had a vision, we went back to do you remember it? When we were at that thing and did that shit we did. Oh, am I charmed or fortune's fool? Have I done harm? Have I broke some rule? Why am I mystified by your lips and your eyes? I could go on and on and on and on and on. You'll never catch up. Is it charm? Not at all. Am I culpable or is it not my fault? Preoccupied by your lips and your eyes. You know why I could go on and on and on and on and on. You'll never catch up. Lead me. I want you to lead me. I need you to lead me. Let me at that man. I wanna make sure I keep him close as I can. I got a feeling he ain't sure, so I gotta let him know that anywhere he needs me to, I'll always go. So give me to my love. Playing hard to get, got hard enough. Call my bluff. Deferment of pleasure increases this measure for both of us. Ho, ho, hi, I must be charmed. The fortune's fool. I done no harm and I broke no rule. Then why am I now paralyzed by your lips and your eyes? I could go on and on and on and on and on. You'll never catch up. Oh, am I charmed or caution's tale? I've been disarmed but not on this scale. I've tried but I can't decide if it's your lips or your eyes. I could go on and on and on and on and on. You'll never I've been waiting on him long enough. Got my hand out to him, lead me to the place where no one can erase that we were there. Let me in my love, send me loose and I'll go over and above. I can prove it, baby, go on, ain't not to know now what you really want and why and how. So am I charmed or am I fooled? Should I be alarmed or just keep my cool? I'm paralyzed and I'm mystified. It's your lips, it's your eyes. I could go on and on and on and on and on. You'll never catch up. Oh, I cry foul, but is it fair? Should I disguise what should be laid bare? I'm paralyzed. It's your lips, it's your eyes. You know why? I could go on and 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 on.
Alrighty, it is a Friday after all, right? And on a Friday, we let our hair loose and have a little bit of fun on this show as we prepare ourselves for the weekend. And then we bump up the vibrations as well when it comes to our musical selection. And we thought we'd open up this hour with Ralph Gum featuring Monique Bingham on this one with Take Me to My Love. It is a classic. It is a dance classic. In South Africa, they are dance royalty. Monique Bingham, I think, was here last year, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, that is how we decided to open up the show today. And of course, we've got joining us in studio as well for the next couple of moments. Ambassador Andreas Peschke joins us. He's the German ambassador to South Africa. And yes, we played that song deliberately. He's in studio with some of his folks, and they asked, did we play the song deliberately? Like, yes, everything is calculated on the show. How are you doing today?
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for having us, and thanks for playing Ralph Gum.
No,
we
it's a pleasure. Listen, it's weird, right? Because I did not realize that Ralph Gum was, a countryman of yours, number one. I had no idea. And I think when you think, well, as South Africans, when we think, Germany and we think German society and German culture, we think automobile, we think, efficiency, we think precision, we think...
Probably humor,
Well, yeah. I guess. Definitely very, very far off the list. We don't think dance music, but there's a rich culture and a rich artistic imprint in Germany. I went to Germany last year. I was in Hamburg, and then I went to Berlin for Beyonce. And I was just struck by how cultural Germans are, how you immerse yourself in all things artistic.
Well, thank you very much for saying so. Yeah, we are a little bit culture as well. But dance music, of course, is a big thing in Germany as well. After all, we are a country of 80 million people. So, of course, we're going to have our dance music.
Yeah.
Although this Ralph Gum, actually, you're right. Probably he's now more South African than German. But he keeps a relationship with us and lets us know what he's doing. And actually, he does a very nice thing together with other DJ dance music stars here in the sector. He does these regular dance music industry workshops. So there we cooperate actually, himself and his guys with the German embassy to organize dance music workshops to show around.
Yeah.
How to produce, how to market, how to do everything. So actually, we're gonna have one next week in Maseru in Lesotho.
Oh, lovely!
So we had one in Joburg last year in Polokwane. Recently, we even went to Manzini in Eswatini, and it's quite interesting because people are always wondering, hey. Okay, that Ralph Gum is here is okay. Why is the German ambassador here? What is an embassy doing with dance music? And then Steffen, who's with us in the studio, and the team, we are explaining, well, of course, embassy work is about politics. So, for instance, this morning, Minister Lamola received us for an engagement with the ambassadors from Europe and the Americas. But it is mostly also about people to people, bringing the people of our country, South Africa, Germany, together on various levels and also in the area of arts and culture. It's very important.
Absolutely. And I love that interaction and that exchange, right? That exchange of heritage and knowledge and experience as a human and global collective. Because I feel like there's a lot for us to get from each other. Like I say, for me, the happy surprise was just being awakened to just how much art as an arts broadcaster, how much arts the Germans actually consume. And I would not have known that unless I'd gone to Germany.
Actually, yeah, well, and particularly South African arts and music groups, they are very popular in historic times, of course, Miriam Makeba, Lady Maxwell Mambazo, and so on. Currently, if the Nhlovo Youth Choir comes to Germany, I mean, the halls are packed. Or this Miyagi Youth Orchestra, actually they participated in the Young Euro Classics. I think actually tomorrow we're going to have our Deutschland and Democracy Fest in Zwane. So we're going to have Lira on stage as our star performer. And she also has she also performed in Germany. She's very popular in Germany as well. So that's actually we love it, and many people think that when it comes to dance and dance music, we have a lot to learn from Africa, from South Africa. So that Smash song a couple of years back, Jerusalem,
yes,
I think was as popular in Germany as it was everywhere in the world. So people were dancing to it, trying to learn the steps, watching the South Africans do it. So that was a big thing.
Right? All right. Let's take a quick pause here and then we'll come back and continue our conversation. It is The Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga, on SAFM.
South Africa and India will produce hot performances as they both want to triumph during their third T20 contest. The visitors want victory to ensure a joyful tour, but hosts Mzansi refuse to fold their arms. What a summer without cricket! Catch the heated third T20 international action between South Africa and India on Wednesday, 13 November at 4:30 p.m. live on SABC3 and 4 p.m. on Radio 2000. With reports on various SABC radio stations. Also available at your fingertips on SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
Svali Weekend on a high note with Final Analysis on Sunday night. Tune in to Final Analysis every Sunday night and stand a chance to win a hamper worth 10,000 Rand, courtesy of Theodora and SABC Sport. Final Analysis, the premium wrap-up show, giving you match highlights, final scores, post-game reactions, expert analysis, and sport news weekend roundup of the local and international arena. Catch Final Analysis every Sunday at 8 p.m. on SABC Sport on TTT Channel 4 and 10 p.m. on SABC 3. Also available everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Hashtag We've Got It All. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
So listen, we are inviting you to our annual public lecture that's been delivered by the former Minister, Dr. Naledi Pandor. And the theme for this year's lecture is 30 years of South African democracy. And we're reimagining what South Africa's democracy over the last 30 years has been. We're reflecting back on some of our achievements, our challenges, as well as the road ahead in protecting our gains, right? The lecture is going to be taking place on the 21st of November. And we're going to be out at Birchwood Hotel and Conference Center in Boksburg. So if you want to secure yourself a seat, all you have to do is RSVP by emailing us info@safm.co.za. That's info@safm.co.za. SAFM, leading the conversation that moves you.
16 teams of Mzansi Africa's Elite League are back to the battlefield. Namandla Masha. They all believe ukuzoba right, kube bright, as they navigate the path to the final. This is the second edition of the Carlin Knockout Cup. Fagukesi. Catch the unmatched passion and drama of Ipola Mzansi. The Carlin Knockout Cup, live on SABC 1 and SABC radio stations. Also available everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Our role must be to seek to build a better world.
SAFM invites you to our annual public lecture, delivered by former Minister Dr. Naledi Pandor. The theme for the lecture is 30 Years of South African Freedom, reimagining South Africa's democracy, achievements, challenges, and the road ahead in protecting our democratic gains. The lecture will take place on the 21st of November 2024 at the Birchwood Hotel and Conference Center. Secure your seat by emailing us at info@safm.co.za.
Today, I'm part of seeking to build a better South Africa.
SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. You're listening to Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
So I'm catching up with the ambassador here, the German ambassador to South Africa, Andres Peshka, and I'm telling him about my visit last year to Germany. I had a great time, and I'll definitely go back again. I think Berlin requires more of my attention than the 4 days that it got. So I'll definitely be back. Let's talk a little bit about, we sort of touched on the importance of this cultural exchange between our two countries. Let's delve a little bit more into that, because what makes this relationship culturally so fundamental and significant that we foster such initiatives as this upcoming fest?
Well, I think to make relationships between our countries sustainable, I think it needs that aspect of culture and people to people. Because if you just think about in political terms, that is of course very important. But to bring in the sustainability and the vibrancy, I think we need that cultural aspect. And actually, as I see it, we have a lot to learn from each other. We spoke about dance and music. We, for instance, have our cultural institute here in South Africa as well, the Goethe Institute, offering courses of German and also a lot of German-centered culture in a way. I think it's, if people come there, learn German, I think they can afterwards go work in German companies, of which there are plenty in South Africa. So it's mutually beneficial. We also have our big German international schools in South Africa. So here in Joburg is one, another one in Pretoria East, one in Cape Town. And of course there we have students from Germany, international students from South Africa. We also have scholarships for students from socially disadvantaged areas like Mamelodi, other areas. So they all learn together, and what comes out of it are guys who are really ready to shape the future because they have roots and experience within German culture. They have their firm South African roots. They have this multilateral international cooperation. So these are really, open-minded leaders of tomorrow, I would say. That's why I see it's very important. And that's why we encourage these activities together, actually, with our South African colleagues in Germany.
Absolutely. I'm going to give you some offline things that I so appreciated about being in your country. Small things and big things that just made me feel like, I feel as though more South Africans need to travel to places like Germany to broaden our horizons on the one part, but also on the other part to just learn little disciplines that just make systems work. Little things that just make systems work. The cleanest place I've ever been to, by the way, the cleanest. All my videos that I showed to everybody, that was the one observation that everyone kept on seeing every time I showed them my videos. Wait, I didn't see a piece of paper anywhere on the floor. I'm like, yeah, it's that clean. Like, even in the areas where you're like, okay, this is not the affluent part of town, but it's that clean. It's crazy. I'll offline you. I'll offline you about that. So the festival is happening this Saturday, as in tomorrow, the Deutschland Fest. Germany meets Mzansi. What can we anticipate in terms of, the program and the itinerary of this festival?
Yeah, well, first of all, tomorrow is the 9th of November, which is the anniversary of the fall of the wall in Berlin. So 35 years ago, and we thought, because it's a kind of a special anniversary, and it coincides with 30 years of democracy in South Africa, that we're going to have a big thing, a fest around it. 30 years of democracy in South Africa, 35 years of the fall of the wall in Berlin. So actually, we also talk about the Deutschland and Democracy Fest. And it's gonna start in the morning. So we have a huge field just opposite our embassy in Grondlof in Zwane, so we're gonna have like 80 stands. All the German automotives will be there. So Porsche will be there, Mercedes-Benz will be there, Daimler Trucks will be there, BMW will be there, Volkswagen will be there, everything. We're going to have our companies, many more of them actually. We're going to have German but also South African food. So if you want to have a real German Eisbein, you can have it with a nice South African pap. So to have the melange, so we're going to have the music on stage. Like Lira will be there, DJ Ralph Gumby. We're going to have a TikTok star from Germany, Julia. Meladen. She's quite famous in Germany, actually. She's going to be there as well. And we also try to encourage discussions. So we have these foundations which are active in South Africa, which are trying to foster political dialogue and stuff, the Friedrich Ebert Foundation and others. So they're going to also have sessions about, various topics, how to fight climate change, what we can do together and stuff. And, of course, we're going to have football. Mm-hmm. So the German Bundesliga will also be there. So if you want to take a break from the Amakosi and the Brazilians, you can watch tomorrow live Mainz against Bayern Munich. So German Bundesliga will be there as well. So full range, a little bit, playing on the cliches you have mentioned, automotive and stuff, but also showcasing where we come together, what makes our countries stronger together. So our German schools will also be there at the Goethe. So if you want to get information how to send your kid to a German school or how to take a class of German at the Goethe Institute, it will be there, everything. So yeah.
Wonderful. I love that, because I firmly feel that as people we have more in common than we do apart, no matter how different we may be in how we do things. But what we have in common as humans, and our aspirations, perhaps, in our dreams for ourselves and our families and as a collective, doesn't matter where you come from or what your flag is, it pretty much speaks to the same thing.
Yeah. Actually, I just remember, of course, Lufthansa will be also there. Our German airline, and if you would like to travel to Germany, they're gonna have a raffle for a free ticket.
Okay.
To travel to Germany, so you may come, try your luck, and get a free flight to Germany.
I mean, does knowing the ambassador put me ahead of everyone else in the raffle? How about we just put Bridget's name in the raffle and everyone else will be blank?
Well, I think it will be objectively handled, everything. Yeah. So but it will be so it's actually it was quite some effort by my team to get everything together, and with all the institutions, everybody did their share. But it's well worth it. Because it really shows how our countries can work together beyond the closer realm of politics, which is actually quite necessary.
Absolutely. Ambassador, we appreciate the time with you. So tomorrow, if you are listening, if you have a curiosity around all things German from the various sectors, as well as maybe some of those opportunities that you could exploit for yourself and your family, and the networks that could come out of it. Deutschland Fest is happening tomorrow out in Pretoria in Tshwane, just opposite the German embassy. Then the gates open at 9:30. So you can go through and really just exploit everything that is on the itinerary. That is where we break it for now. We're going to get into the headline news, and then of course Kids Corner is coming up, and then we'll come back on the other side and catch up with our final guest of the afternoon.
Thank you, Bridget. News headlines at 2:30 on SAFM. I am Ondalambana, and a very good day. Basic Education Minister Siviwe Gwagube says it's all systems go with the implementation of the Basic Education Laws Amendment Act, commonly known as the Bella Act. President Cyril Ramaphosa has extended the employment of 1,100 members of the South African National Defence Force in cooperation with the South African Police to combat and prevent illegal mining activities in the country. And Israeli military says it's preparing to deploy a rescue mission to the Netherlands. This after violence broke out following a Europa League match between Maccabi Tel Aviv and Ajax Amsterdam. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
You're listening to Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
Welcome to Nali Bali. The signs of jealousy in a child can vary, but they usually include outbursts of anger or tears, displaying aggression towards siblings or peers, making comparisons between themselves and others, or withholding affection. If not addressed properly, jealousy can cause negative outcomes in our psychological development. It is important to address the root of the situation and come up with solutions to help cope with our feelings. Children who exhibit jealousy often become clingy and demanding of attention. They may demand more hugs or not want to leave the room, just like Lily's dog Bobby. On today's story called Lily and Her Friends, written by Lihlono Loriba. But before we listen to today's story, let's all get up and dance! Once upon a time, there was a girl named Lily who loved animals. She begged her parents to get a dog. She thought a dog would be a wonderful friend to play with. At first, her parents didn't want her to get a dog. Who will look after the dog? Asked Lily's mom.
I will look after it and take it for walks every day,
promised Lily.
Lily, you need to know caring for a pet is such a big responsibility,
said Lily's dad.
I promise I will be responsible. Please, 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 can I get a dog?
Begged Lily. Lily's mom and dad finally agreed.
Okay, Lily, you can choose a dog at the animal shelter.
Thank you so much,
said Lily happily as she hugged her parents. The next day, Lily chose a friendly brown dog.
I will call him Bobby,
said Lily. Lily loved Bobby. They did everything together. Bobby walked with Lily to school every morning, and he was waiting at the school gate to walk home with her every afternoon. They played games together. Bobby's bed was next to Lily's in her bedroom. Bobby's ball was next to Lily's chair at the table. Lily and Bobby were inseparable. Lily's parents saw how happy she was with Bobby. They also saw how good Lily was at caring for Bobby. They decided to get her another dog. They chose a little white puppy with black spots.
Aw, thank you, Mom and Dad. He looks so cute,
said Lily as she hugged the little dog.
I love my new dog. I'm going to call him Spots.
Lily gave Spots a lot of love and attention. She gave him so much attention that she didn't spend time with Bobby like she used to. Lily moved Bobby's bed further away from her bed so she could put the new dog's bed closer to hers. Bobby still walked with Lily to school, but all Lily spoke about was how she couldn't wait for Spots to grow up so that he could walk with them. Lily moved Bobby's bowl. She put the puppy's bowl closer to hers, right in the place where Bobby's bowl used to be. Bobby was very sad. He was used to getting all the attention from Lily. Now Spots slept and ate closer to Lily than he did. Bobby thought,
Spots has taken my place. Once he's grown, Lily won't need me to walk with her to school anymore.
The next day, Bobby walked with Lily to school. As he was walking home, he thought,
Lily really doesn't love me anymore. All she cares about is Spots. This Spots, that Spots. I don't think she'll ever notice if I just run away.
Instead of returning home, Bobby just walked and walked until he reached a park where he used to play with Lily. He lay down with his head on his paws. He was so heartbroken. After school, Bobby was not waiting for her like he always did.
Where's Bobby?
Lily wondered. She was worried. She decided to walk home alone. She hoped she would meet Bobby along the way, but she didn't. As she got nearer to home, Lily thought,
I will definitely find Bobby at home. Maybe he's just not feeling well. That's why he didn't come to walk with me.
When Lily got home, she ran to check Bobby's bed, but he wasn't there. She asked her mom,
Mom, have you seen Bobby? He wasn't waiting for me at school today.
No, I haven't. He didn't come back after walking with you to school this morning, Mom said. Now Lily was very worried. Lily and her parents went out to look for Bobby. They went to all Lily and Bobby's favorite places. They called his name as they went.
Bobby!
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 Bobby! It was starting to get dark, so Lily's mom said, I think we should go home now and continue searching tomorrow.
No, please. I'm not ready to give up looking for him.
Begged Lily with tears in her eyes.
Please, Mom. There's just one more park. He could have gone there.
When they reached the park, it was dark. Lily was desperately calling out.
Bobby! Bobby, please come out. We have to go home.
As tears ran down her cheeks, Bobby was surprised to hear Lily calling his name. He didn't think she would come looking for him. Hearing Lily call his name made him feel so special, so he ran to her. Lily was so happy to see Bobby. She gave him a very big hug. From that day on, Lily made sure that she paid attention to both Spots and Bobby. Lily and her dogs did everything together. Bobby was very happy, even grew fond of Spots. As Lily played with the dogs, she realized that everyone needs love and attention. It is so much more fun to do things with your friends. And so we come to the end of another Nali Bali story time. Today's story was called Lily and Her Friends, written by Litlolo Riba. Did you know that reading and telling stories to children at home can help them do better at school? If you want free stories to read to your children or for your children to enjoy on their own, visit Nali Bali website www.nalibali.org or Mobi site www.nalibali.mobi. You will find stories in 11 South African languages, as well as tips for reading and sharing stories with your children to grow their potential. Also look out for the bilingual Nali Bali Reading for Enjoyment supplements with great children's stories and activities available in newspapers. Nali Bali, it starts with a story.
Here, there, and everywhere. SAFM 104.3 FM in Rustenburg.
Hi, I'm Andrew, and I was recently diagnosed with myelodysplastic syndrome. Patients like myself go through a long and strenuous journey to get a stem cell transplant. I am grateful for the support I've received as I wait for the call that my donor has been found. This Sunflower Month, be a lifeline to patients like myself by registering to become a stem cell donor. You can save a life by registering at dkmsafrica.org.
The Hammers have a mammoth task to find a path to the top half. They target maximum points against the Toffees.
Bungled in by Sensio Somerville, his first West Ham United goal.
Meanwhile, the Toffees have the same predicament. They want out of the bottom half as soon as possible.
It's a cross goal and it's netted by Beto, and Everton have equalised 4 minutes into
This is the Premier League. Catch the exciting clash between West Ham United FC and Everton FC on Saturday 9 November at 4:30 p.m. live on SABC3. Also available everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
You're listening to Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
Alrighty, as we get into another conversation, catching up now with Jessica Glendinning, an old friend here, and we're talking around the South African and Dutch collaboration to celebrate 30 years of South African democracy with a poetic tribute, an exhibition that's dedicated to a Dutch anti-apartheid movement. How are you doing, Jessica? You good?
I'm great. How are you, Bridget?
I'm fabulous. I am so fabulous. Good to catch up with you. We appreciate the time. Let's get straight into it. Let's get into Beyond Borders. And this is a significant marker, that really marks the collaboration between South Africa and the Netherlands. Tell us more.
Yeah, so of course, this is 30 years of South Africa's democracy, which we're all really proud to be here celebrating. And it was a moment for us both to reflect on that, and also, as it happens, there are 3 new names of Dutch anti-apartheid activists that are being added to the wall of names at Freedom Park, bringing the total to 6. So, it really felt like a great moment to look at that history as well. So we're exploring the archive of the South African History Archive, which was donated by an organization called the Institute of International Social History in Amsterdam. And they have the whole collection of the Dutch anti-apartheid movement. And then we just wanted to create an event that was celebratory, that marked the occasion in a good way, in an appropriate way. And that we could just join together.
Let's talk a little bit about that legacy of solidarity between the Dutch and the South African struggles at the time. How significant was their influence, especially around the global perspective or the global conversation that was fueling the anti-apartheid movements back then?
Yeah, of course, there were a lot of different hubs for anti-apartheid activism around the world, but Amsterdam was really one of the main ones, and there was an ANC office there, and there were a lot of people who got involved in the struggle in various ways, from church leaders who spoke out against it, or people who raised funds or raised support in the Netherlands, to people who actually came to South Africa and joined the struggle, from Umkhonto we Sizwe to working on the ground in other ways. So there was a really wide array of people who were part of that struggle.
When it comes to the role of art, Jessica, when it comes to the role of arts and culture, particularly in activism, what ways, do sort of these disciplines, art, poetry, music, etc., deepen the understanding of, on the one hand, our historical struggles, but also the resilience and unity that, the respective nations still express towards each other?
Yeah, well, you know how passionate I am about the arts and culture, Bridget.
Yeah.
But, I think what it really comes down to is that culture and artistic expressions is how we communicate the essence of who we are as human beings. And at that moment, we are no different from each other. The borders disappear, the differences in gender, in race, in ideology disappear, because we all have these core human identities and human emotions, and we communicated such a pure way through arts and culture. And so it was a tool that was hugely used during the apartheid movement to from poster designs, which were pasted across the Netherlands, in South Africa. We have some great photos of how the posters in the collection were displayed in different places. They were calls to rallying calls to people to stand up. They were, showing dissension from the oppression. They were calls to boycott. And then, of course, there was all of these movements where poets, musicians came together, and that was partly, of course, just expressing both the frustration, the pain of what people were experiencing at the time, but also hope for the future. There's the Culture in Another South Africa conference that happened in Amsterdam in 1987, and that idea of, like coming together and say, actually, what could it look like when we've won the struggle, is so powerful, and it keeps people going through such a difficult time.
Let's talk a little bit as well. So you say, Jessica, that there are 3 new names of Dutch anti-apartheid, of the Dutch anti-apartheid movement that are going to be inducted there at the at Freedom Park, and let's talk about the importance maybe of also just preserving that history and heritage and enabling future generations to remember the contributions and collaborations that were made by other individuals outside of South Africa, other individuals from other spaces when it comes to the context of South Africa's liberation.
Yeah, of course this is so important because obviously we're aware South Africa paid the ultimate price in fighting for that freedom and suffered. But the truth is that we now live in a time where most of our problems are global problems. We have to look at them together. And at the same time, so many people are becoming so much more insular and frightened of the world outside. And so we really need to reflect on the fact that, no, these struggles are never won on our own. We need each other. We need to support each other. Democracy is something that is really hard won. People paid a huge price to have this democracy. And we now, as a new generation, it's our responsibility to carry that democracy forward. And we're not going to do it on our own. We have to rely on each other. And the fact is, that's always been the case.
Absolutely. So tell me, this event that is happening, is it leading up to, from my understanding, is it leading up to an exhibition to be staged in 2025?
Yes, so we have 2 fantastic things, and one is that we've commissioned a poem that will be released on the day or premiered on the day, which is a celebration of the 30 years of democracy. So we have this phenomenal duo, Yamoria, who have written such a beautiful poem, and we can't wait for that to be released and made public. And then the second thing is that we have an exhibition that will open in 2025, which is the archive, which is obviously a selection from the archive because it's a lot of stuff. And that will be kind of looking at the stories of some of these items that are in the archive. And that goes from buttons that were sold to raise funds, posters, photographs that were taken, vinyl LPs that were sold also to raise funds. So great T-shirts and the T-shirt designs, there's a whole collection that are really fabulous. So we want to bring this a little bit to life because, archives are so important to safeguard and protect our heritage.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we also want people to know that they're there, to access them, to experience them, and to enjoy them.
Absolutely. Jessica, always a pleasure, and thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. That was Jessica Glendinning, Policy Officer, Culture and Media at the Embassy of the Kingdom of the Netherlands to South Africa. It's at 10 to 3 o'clock. 10 to 3 o'clock. We're going to take a quick pause here, and then we'll come back and we'll wrap up the show.
RB Leipzig believe every football moment counts and they want nothing but a win. Meanwhile, Borussia Mönchengladbach target 3 points as they embark on a journey to escape from the bottom half. This is the Bundesliga. Football as it's meant to be. Catch the nail-biting encounter between RB Leipzig and Borussia Mönchengladbach on Saturday 9 November at 7:30 p.m. Live everywhere for everyone. Always on SABC Plus. Also available on sabcsport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Are you looking for the best spectacle and sunglass deal? With Specsavers buy one get one offer, you get great value for money. You know you can trust us with over 350 stores nationwide. Get a free pair of branded prescription sunglasses up to 3,200 Rand when you purchase a comprehensive eye test and spectacle frame with lenses on your first pair. Choose from top brands like Police, Hugo, Tommy Hilfiger, Carolina Herrera and more. There really is no reason to go anywhere else. Affordable eye care, Specsavers. T's and C's apply.
Our role must be to seek to build a better world.
SAFM invites you to our annual public lecture delivered by former Minister Dr. Naledi Pandor. The theme for the lecture is 30 Years of South African Freedom. Reimagining South Africa's democracy, achievements, challenges, and the road ahead in protecting our democratic gains. The lecture will take place on the 21st of November 2024 at the Birchwood Hotel and Conference Center. Secure your seat by emailing us at info@safm.co.za.
Today, I'm part of seeking to build a better South Africa.
SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
But I'm pretty sure that I didn't hear the ambassador talking about charging you to come to the Deutschland Festival, because now we're getting messages on our WhatsApp, folks asking us for free tickets. Just go. You didn't say anything about money. Like, you just go. It's opposite the lawns of... minimum cover. Oh, but 50 to 70, that's minimum. For Lira, Ralph Gam and everything else, that's not even a cover. That's just crowd control. That's just crowd control right there. 50 to 70 Rand is just crowd control. So that's tomorrow, if you're going to be this side of the world and can get to 20. Right now, let's catch up with multi-award winning director and producer Tebogo Malope joins me now after a very, very, very extraordinary run at the South African Film and Television Awards, a clean sweep, going home with 11 Golden Horns at this year's SAFTAs. I mean, let's just start there. Tebogo, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Bridget. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. What does I don't know. What does a director, producer feel like when you walk out of that gala event, award ceremony, and you've got more Golden Horns than you've got fingers to count them on?
Well, firstly, the arms are sore. But yeah, it really is humbling to have the peers, your peers, give you such a nod. I think for me, the great thing about the SAFTAs is our peers, the people that we work with. A lot of them are some of the people that mentored me. A lot of them are people that I've worked with before. And for them to say, hey, man, you hit it at the top, it means a lot.
Yeah. I mean, what is the secret sauce, as the young kids would say? The young kids would say, I can give you the recipe, but without that secret sauce, it's not going to be the same. So what is Tebogo Malope's secret sauce?
I think the secret sauce is to not think about the awards. Mm-hmm. It's to just have fun, have passion. I think let the work and the process be the reward. I think once you start thinking about the awards, then you start doing it for the nod. But I think if you do it because you're passionate about it and you find the stories and you give the people the stories that they want to listen and see, I think it will happen automatically. The moment you offload the idea that you're doing it to be awarded and you say, I'm just doing it because I love it, I think the awards automatically come.
I mean, just one production alone at the SAFTAs, Outlaws. I've caught a few episodes here and there. Outlaws scooped you 8 awards that night. You also were behind the rise of Sia Kolisi's story, that story. Best achievement in editing for that. So it was a variety of different categories that speak to different things and projects that show that you're not a one-dimensional or one-trick pony producer director. You actually have an interest in very many spaces for those who are unfamiliar with your name.
Yeah, and I think the one project that the press release missed was Fragile King, which is a movie that we also produced, which also won 8 awards on the night. So, so I think for me, I just want to be the quintessential storyteller. Yesterday we dropped a Vodacom summer campaign, so I also do commercials as well, and a lot of people know the Spirit music video I shot for Questa a while ago.
Yeah.
So for me, it's always about which platform, which medium can I use to tell the stories. It doesn't matter for me if it's a commercial, if it's a documentary. I've got a documentary series that's executive produced by Barack Obama, and J. Cole is in it. That's also coming in the near future. And so whether it's a documentary series, a docu-feature, and a telenovela like Outlaws, a drama series like Classified, to me, it doesn't matter. As long as I'm telling stories, I'm a happy man.
Yeah. Let's quickly touch on this upcoming engagement that you have, because tomorrow you're inviting everyone to come through for an almost one-on-one sit-down exchange with you in watch. And I like the cheekiness and the play on words, because you've titled it Lessons from Bombing, which is a double entendre. Those of us who've tracked your career. What's to be expected from this engagement?
Yeah, I think I'm glad you got that word thing. So for me, I find that the industry, especially nowadays, because of social media, a lot of storytellers sort of sanitize their social media. Right? So when young filmmakers look on socials, they think filmmaking is all about the glitz and the glam. It's all about the red carpets. It's all about the awards. But actually, there's more failing than not. 90% of the time is failing. And so for me, I thought, to encourage young people to embrace and love the journey more than the awards, and also embrace the idea of failing. I think once you embrace the idea of failing, you can attack film and you can attack your work with a sense of freedom. Because whether you win or you don't, it doesn't really matter, because the reward is in the doing. And so what people can expect tomorrow is I'm going to tell 6 big stories about 6 biggest flops,
yeah,
and that happened in my career, and why those happened, and what big lessons did I learn from it. So people can expect to hear stories about the mistakes I made in life, and hopefully they don't have to make the same mistakes, because they'll be hearing from me.
Absolutely. We love a sort of film-making one-on-one with a different perspective to it. We have to leave it there for this afternoon, but Maltiva, which is a wonderful space, by the way, if you've never been, is where Tebogo Malope is going to be tomorrow. Where do people RSVP if they want to come through for this?
So actually, there's no RSVP, so people can just come at Molitva Restaurant in Chrome Dry. People must just come, but the only thing I ask is, can people bring a toy? There's a little squatter camp next to us there called Malachi Village. So we want to collect some toys and give to the kids for Christmas.
Awesome.
So if people can just bring a toy, so we make those kids very happy. So come and learn, but also let's do something good for the kids of Malachi Village.
Wonderful. Tebogo Malope, thank you so much for the time. That is where we leave it today as we make way for Ashraf Gada and his team to come through. It sounds like it's going to be a busy weekend in Johannesburg, as to be expected when the season starts getting warm. There seems to be a lot of activity, especially around arts and culture. From myself and my team, we thank you so much for always choosing to be in conversation with us. You could have been anywhere, you chose to be here, and we don't take it for granted. We'll see you again next week, Monday, inshallah, God willing.
Here, there, and everywhere. SAFM 105 FM in Polokwane.
Thank you, Bridget. Top stories at 3. The Bella Act ready to be implemented, and Israel preps to deploy a rescue mission in the Netherlands. For SAFM News, I am Ondalambana, and a very good afternoon. Basic Education Minister Siviwe Gwachube says it's all systems go with the implementation of the Basic Education Laws Amendment Act, commonly known as the Bella Act. The announcement comes amid the ongoing